I'm Alex, I'm British, and I want my country back. I want my country back from all the hate-filled no-hopers, the cowards and bullies and quitters who find someone else to blame for everything, so they don't have to take any responsibility themselves. Where anything that goes wrong is always someone else's fault. The ones who have the nerve to call the rest of us traitors because we believe in treating people with respect, getting on with our neighbours, getting stuck in, and a bit of basic human decency. Today, an MP was murdered by someone spouting exactly the same sort of hate-filled poison. And tonight, I don't feel I can be quiet and say, oh, somebody else will do it. None of us can. We've all got to take responsibility now. Because Britain is better than this. And you can't just leave it to someone else. Today, the Leave campaign, which has said that the most successful, long-lasting, prosperous, peaceful cooperation between free nations in the history of the planet Earth is just like Hitler. Today, Nigel Farage brought out a new poster. Maybe he thinks that blaming Polish people doesn't cut it anymore because this poster's got a lot more brown faces on it, and who could have seen that coming? Except everyone. But there's something else to remember about this poster too. It's a lesson from history. Because it's not a new type of propaganda. It's a very old type of propaganda. And you can see there the same message, the same hate, the same propaganda, and pretty much the same photo from the actual Nazis. Not just from some little turd using their ideas. Britain is better than him. Britain has got better. We're never going to be perfect, no country ever is. But I was born in the 70s. When I was growing up, I remember a lot more racism and bigotry, and people have confronted that more. People have got fed up with it. People have not accepted it. People have stood up to it. But I remember when I was little, people would say, oh, immigrant this, immigrant that, when they were around me. And sometimes other adults would say, oh, or call them something that probably shouldn't say on YouTube. But I wasn't just offended or upset. And it wasn't just because I was a particularly good human being. It wasn't even because I was turning into a little liberal. I was afraid. And I was hurt. Because I thought, what if they find out about me? Why are they saying these things about my mum? And I was never hit or spat at on the street. Not because I was an immigrant kid anyway. But it still hurt. And all the people who say, oh, it's just political correctness. No, it's common decency. It's British values, decency, tolerance, standing up for the underdog. Not to be a git to your neighbours. Not to say things that will hurt people and their friends and their families and their cousins and neighbours and just people that they get on with. And when I went to school in Stockport. And my school was probably the one with the largest number of second generation immigrant kids. And I was one of them, but I was different. Because it was mostly Irish parents. And so we learnt all sorts of interesting things about Ireland that we wouldn't have done at another school. And sometimes I didn't fit in. Shocker. But that wasn't because my mum was the American mum. And it wasn't because my best mate was the kid with the mum from Northern Ireland and the dad from India. It was over important cultural differences that had nothing to do with immigration, like on a Saturday, if you get your scarf out, is it going to be Doctor Who or is it going to be football? And those kids, their parents might have seen it, but they were growing up without signs saying, no blacks, no Irish. And I'm so angry that there are people in this country who want us to take it back to those days. It disgusts me. Because we are better than that, and we've got better than that. You know, my mum came here for a year to work, and she fell in love, and she got married, and she raised 3 kids. And she worked hard, and she contributed. And then she volunteered when she couldn't work anymore, and she contributed, and she still does that in her 70s. And I'm biased. And I admit I'm biased, because she's my mum. But I'm also biased because she's a decent, good human being. And she helps people. And I'm biased against Nigel Farage because if he lived to the age of 1,000, he just hates people, and he would never contribute the tiniest fraction of what my mum contributes to this country. Tea, immigrant drink. And when I grew up, I moved in with my husband in East London, so I'm now a different sort of immigrant. I'm in an area, one of the most fantastic areas in the country, which has been full of immigrants for centuries, and that's why it thrives. New ideas, new people, new cultures, all mixing. Huguenots, Jews, Bengalis. And even if you're in the smallest, most long-term British, you might feel hamlet in the country rather than tower hamlets. Then if you've been British for 1,000 years, your family came in with the Danes or the Romans or the Celts or the Normans or the Saxons. We are a country of immigrants. It's one of the reasons why Britain is so creative and has been such a leader and such an exciting force over the centuries. We're not talking about decades of immigration or hundreds of years, but millennia. We've never been a country that's just gone, oh, it's somebody else's fault, just send them away. Britain is better than that. Britain has always done well from it. Even as structurally as a country, we're a melting pot. You say, oh, it's really weird that we're getting involved with other nations. You can say that? We're a country that's made up of England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland, and you can say that? We've always been made up of different nations. Before there was England, there was Wessex and all the other countries that came together to make one big country. We came together to make Britain. Of all the countries in Europe, we should be the one that goes, yeah, been there, done that. We know what it's like working with other countries. We know what it's like not losing our identity because, yeah, we're all these different people within our countries, within the 4 countries that make up our countries. Of course, we know how to do this. Britain has always been better than that. Look, there are some horrible people on the Remain side, and there are some people I really admire on the Leave side. And if you vote Leave, no, it doesn't make you a racist. There are people who are voting for it for all sorts of reasons. But I'm not talking about the people supporting them. I'm talking about the campaigns. And people say, oh, they're all the same. They're not. Look at them. Look in your heart. Use your common sense. They are not the same. There's only one side that's saying traitor. There's only one side that's stirring up hate. There's only one side that's dividing people. There's only one side that's stirring up violence. And it is their responsibility. They're led by people who never take responsibility. This is on them. The race, hate, the horribleness. Britain can be better. If you support Brexit, then tell the people running your campaign, we don't want it to be like this. This is not our sort of Britain. You've got reasons to vote out that have got nothing to do with horrible, racist hate-mongering and every message being lies about immigration, saying us and them, we hate them. It's not right. It's not right. But I'll tell you what does make you a racist. Doesn't make you an anti-racist to vote Remain. Doesn't make you a racist to vote Leave. But being a racist makes you a racist. And there are a lot of people who are saying horrible, horrible racist things because they want to and because they genuinely believe it. And they have to be confronted. Just because they're hiding behind Leave, they say, oh, it's my political view. You can't argue with me. Well, we have free speech, and free speech isn't just for racists. You can't silence the decent, respectable majority of us who say, no, that's just wrong. It doesn't make you a better person to vote in or to vote out. But if you say to me, well, you can't be telling me you're a better person if you're not a racist. You're a better person if you like people. You're a better person if you treat your neighbours with respect and want to be nice to people. You're a better person if you're not just a hater. Well, actually, yes. That does make you a better person. And you've got a week to show it. Whatever side you're on, Britain is better. Be a better person. And tell people there are some things up with which we will not put